Good evening. Bahama is coming up tonight, a new day for students heading back to the classroom for the start of a brand new school year. Hear what officials are saying about the 2022-2023 academic year. Plus, it's back to school on the Family Islands. We are on the ground in Grand Bahama and Abaco. Also, a teen is charged with 3 killings and the attempted murder of 5 others. And later, remembering Dorian. 3 years later, our week of coverage begins. Welcome to our news and thank you for joining us. I'm Natalia Hall. Class is back in session for students nationwide, with parents, students and faculty excited as schools opt for face-to-face learning. Our back-to-school coverage begins with our Marlena Leonard, who went to several campuses this morning to capture the first day.
It's the first day of school for many around the country, and we've spoken to everyone from parents to politicians about the high hopes and the hurdles of the season.
Students are coming in on a phased-in basis in most schools, and so differing grades will come in for the first 3 days. By Thursday and Friday, we're going to have 100% face-to-face, which is the first time in more than 2 years.
Parents and students alike are looking forward to the move. Aiden Curtis is excited to see his friends. Yeah, what are you excited about?
Mall burning and stuff, math.
His mother, Bridget Curtis, is especially excited for Aiden to return to school, taking pride in her role as a parent in his education.
I'm excited because he's an excellent learner, and for me, being a single parent, it makes me feel great that I've done a great job with him.
But not all parents are taking such a hands-on approach. Just down the road at Thelma Gibson Primary School, the principal, Olivia Daxon, says they already have 615 students enrolled, but hope to have an additional 200 more children enrolled soon. Their school board has plans to begin a program that goes door to door in the community, encouraging parents to re-enroll their children in school. School board chairperson Quincy Strawn says,
we're going to go into the community and bring them. We're going to have functions to bring them in, knocking on doors. We're going to go there. We have to go out there and get them.
The most common sentiment of the day, echoed by parents and politicians, also summed up by Strawn.
Guess what? The children are very excited and the teachers are very excited. So parents, I urge you, get involved.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Marlena Leonard.
Thanks so much, Marlena. And some private schools are also back in session at St. John's College, which is one of them, with some 700 students heading back to their Bethel Avenue campus this morning. Principal Janan Lewis telling Our News that teachers are more than ready to begin the academic year with in-person classes for the first time in 2 years since the COVID-19 pandemic.
So we are still following our protocols, our mandates, and we are encouraging our children to just be careful. Be careful while they're with each other, make sure keep their masks on, and be protected. We are all so excited. We are, elated to receive our children back face to face for the first time fully in 2 years. And our expectation is an excellent year. We have teachers who are invigorated. We have teachers who are just excited to be here and to pour into our children.
We also spoke to 12th grade prefect Shemaya Skippings, who says she is excited to be back.
Feels amazing. Time has gone by so quickly. Firstly, to put God first, finish strong. Well, start strong and finish even stronger. Violence is never the resolution of conflict. Always talk things out.
Meanwhile, students over in Grand Bahama are also back in class today. Our Jamila Mizik tells us it was a quiet return to school.
It started off as a wet morning, but the sun quickly came out as parents ushered their youngsters onto school campuses. Principal of Freeport Primary School, Gia Walker, says it feels good to be back.
It feels awesome. We're ready for this face-to-face season of instruction. The kids are excited as they're coming in. Everybody's just happy and excited to be here. So we're looking forward to great things this year.
She says this year they're making up for time lost.
We don't want any child left behind, and so we're making a conscientious effort to make sure that they get in all of the education they can.
Parent Jermaine Grant says he's hoping for a successful academic year.
The school year, I'm glad that we're able to start on time, and we have no hurricane season, so of course the kids will have a full term.
Now ASP Stephen Roll says police will be present in high schools across the island as student safety is paramount.
I'd say that the officers are properly trained to deal with the school policing aspect now. And yes, there's some safety improvement at the schools. So let's look forward to the year ahead, see what it brings forward.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jamila Missick.
And over in Abaco, eager parents dropping their little ones off to school campuses across the island. Bethany McDermott has more from excited parents and teachers as schools return to full face-to-face learning.
Our news team visited a few schools in Abaco, including Central Abaco Primary School and Patrick J. Bethel High School. School officials say they're anticipating a student complement of about 400 and 600 plus respectively. Meanwhile, parents across the island say they're hopeful for this school year.
I'm just excited to know that, the pandemic has quieted down enough so that our children can be back in the actual learning environment.
They need that. After the hurricane, they had a lot of time to stay home. So now that they full-time face-to-face, it's really good.
Another school we visited was Forest Heights Academy, which is reopening for the first time since Dorian destroyed the campus in 2019. Principal Jim Richards says they're looking forward to it.
It's exciting. I think everyone's excited. The kids might be a little apprehensive and nervous, but the teachers are really excited. Most of our teachers are returning after 3 years. We have one new teacher and the rest are all former teachers at Forest Heights, so everyone's excited.
The school is welcoming 86 students this year, less than the 150 before Hurricane Dorian. Agape Christian School is welcoming 165 students this year and is welcoming students from grades 1 through 12. Principal Kathy Sawyer says students have suffered the past few years.
It has been a real challenge to do the virtual learning. Most of our students have really struggled. Their education has really suffered.
Now, as this is the first time Forest Heights will be accepting students since Hurricane Dorian, Richard says the focus is to ensure students are ready for national exams.
My end goal is, that the students can stay face-to-face, that they can get back on track. I know that there's probably some gaps, some things that they've missed. So we want to really focus on the core subjects, just prepare, the grade 9s for BJC. We have some grade 12s that need to do BGCSEs.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Great report, Bethany. Meanwhile, Chief Superintendent Chrisling Skippings giving these safety tips this new school year.
What I want kids to be able to do, especially those who are going to be walking to school, I need you to stay on the sidewalk and walk to school. As a matter of fact, let me not just say the kids, because I want the parents to literally take their kids to school. If you're in school and a conflict arises, what I would wish for you to do is to stop, think about what the conflict is all about, and then act. Find a teacher, find a guidance counselor, find a prefect at your school. Let your prefect, let them know what's going on so that we can resolve the conflicts before they escalate.
And with students back in classes, it means more motorists are back on the road. Corporal Brittany Roll from Police Traffic Division says school zones can get congested and hectic during drop-off and pickup, and is encouraging all road users to adhere to the rules of the road.
School zone normally extends on 240 feet from start to finish of the school area. So please be aware that you're driving in the area, drive cautiously. School zones are normally mapped out or a sign is up, which normally is 15 miles per hour, extending from the time of 7:30 a.m. to 9 a.m. and in the afternoon would be 2:30 to 4:30 p.m.
For more back-to-school traffic tips, be sure to tune in to our news nightly edition this week. We're now experiencing some pleasant conditions this evening with improving conditions into tomorrow. Meteorologist Greg Thompson joins us now from the Weather Center with your first look. Greg?
Yes, thanks, Natalia, and happy Monday evening, everybody. If you plan on doing anything on the outdoors, pretty nice evening setting up for us. Temperatures managing to stay into the mid-80s. It's a little bit warm, but we do have a breeze out there. It's out of the east-southeast at 14 miles per hour, and your field slight temperature still warm, 91 degrees. Satellite view, upper level disturbance that was affecting us for the past day or two is now pulling towards the west and away from us, and all that tropical moisture that allowed us to get some of those showers and thunderstorm activity across most of the island chain. That is also pulling towards the west. High pressure is building in. That's responsible for those breezes, but we expect that high to weaken slightly over the next day or two, so our winds will fall off a bit. A couple isolated showers expected in through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
When our news returns, a 16-year-old faces charges related to a shooting spree that left 3 people dead. No go. The details as to why the Privy Council ruled against libel appeal. And later, remembering Hurricane Dorian 3 years later. Our team coverage from Grand Bahama and Abaco begins when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
A 16-year-old Pinewood Gardens resident has been charged with killing 3 people and trying to kill 5 others in separate incidents. The teen faces murder charges in the deaths of Ansley Russell, Jardley Averill, and Mikkel Bain. Prosecutors say Russell was shot dead at Redland Acres on August 12th. Pernado Glinton was also injured in the shooting. The following day, prosecutors say the teenager fatally shot Mikkel Bain in the front of his home on Countsworth Avenue in South Beach. He's also accused of fatally wounding Jardley Averill and seriously injuring 4 others, including 2 minors, while they attended a baby shower at a home on Stag Avenue in Nassau Village on August 13th. The juvenile was not required to enter a plea to the charges when he made his initial court appearance before Chief Magistrate Joanne Ferguson Pratt. He was remanded to the Simpson Penn School for Boys and is expected to appear in juvenile court in December for voluntary bill of indictments to send his cases to the Supreme Court. A 24-year-old man is accused of the murder of a strip club patron. Prosecutors say Sanofa Augustin, who's also known as Donkey, fatally shot George Seymour during a fight at Charms on August 20th. Augustin, a Haitian national, was not required to enter a plea to the charge when he appeared before Magistrate Algernon Allen Jr. Bail was denied and the matter was adjourned to October 2nd for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. The Privy Council has denied Omar Archer's attempt to block prosecution against him for intentional libel, saying he has no grounds. The decision paving the way for Archer's criminal libel trial to continue before Magistrate Darren Roll Davis. Archer, who describes himself as a political activist, was charged with intentional libel in 2015 after he posted a woman's photo on his Facebook page, claiming that she had AIDS and was spreading it daily. Now, in 2017, Archer's lawyer, Queen's Counsel Fred Smith, argued that libel is a civil claim. However, both the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal rejected Archer's constitutional challenge. In April, Archer was also charged with intentional libel after he claimed in a voice note that National Security Minister Wayne Monroe beat his wife. 3 years ago, the worst storm in history hit the Bahamas, leaving unprecedented destruction and turmoil that would forever change these islands. Abaco and Grand Bahama, the worst impacted. As we prepare to mark the 3rd anniversary of Hurricane Dorian this week, we go back to these islands as the road to recovery continues on. We've got team coverage for the rest of the week with our Jamila Mizik on Grand Bahama and our Berthany McDermott on Abaco. Let's start with you, Jamila. Now we know residents in East Grand Bahama experience what many would describe as the brunt of Hurricane Dorian's wrath. And years later, obviously the storm's devastating impact lives on. Jamila?
Italia, hell on earth are the words Ishmael Lang used to describe Hurricane Dorian. I had an opportunity to speak candidly with him about his experience today. Here's what he had to say.
High Rock resident Ishmael Lang says September 2nd, 2019 started off as a beautiful day as he and his neighbors prepared for what was to come. He says he chose to stay at home in East End, having survived storms there before, but this storm was like no other.
I saw billows, high sea, coming across the road from the east of here. So I ran back to tell my wife, water, water. And lo and behold, if you believe, before I left to get to my bedroom door, the ocean already came in, busted the 2 front door down, these 2 front doors, busted the garage door down, and the pine yard came in my house.
Lang says he fought to help his disabled wife who was almost swept away by water that had risen up to her neck.
A ship could have been lodged in the front of my yard after the storm because water was out there 35 feet. I have never seen nothing like that before. I have never seen a large house roof blow off and fly like a bird. I have never seen drums take airborne.
Debris filled their home as the Langs endured the storm for nearly 19 hours.
This exact word I said. I said, God, you had me believe it, you could come see. I say, I believe you could come see. No way to lie. About 40 minutes later, the water was gone out of my house. Completely gone.
Now, while Ishmael and his wife were able to survive the storm, he says some of his neighbors weren't as lucky. Homes across the street completely destroyed, and the families that lived there still missing.
It was hell on earth. That storm, that was hell on earth. No one would wish to go through that. And ain't much people was in that storm survive.
Now, Ishmael's experience has prompted him to write a book he says he struggles to complete as he tries to pen the painful details of losing those around him. Reporting live from High Rock in Grand Bahama, I'm Jamila Mizik. Italia, back to you.
Thanks so much, Jamila. And Dorian also devastating the island of Abaco, leaving millions in damage. The storm destroying one of the biggest churches on that northern island. And while the rebuilding process has begun, the pastor and members explained to our Bethany McDermott on how Dorian turned a nightmare into a blessing. Bethany?
Italia, we're standing outside Change Ministries International Church, the church that could comfortably seat 700 people. However, now it's just a memory. We spoke to members of the church, one of them saying it was difficult maintaining her spiritual life without her church home.
You have to be really disciplined to continue your walk with Christ without the church family gathering together, in my opinion.
Hurricane Dorian made this a reality for Corinne Cornish and hundreds of other members of Change Ministries International when the Category 5 hurricane reduced the $1.5 million sanctuary to ruin. As members grappled with their new norm, they all looked to their pastor for strength and encouragement. But as Senior Pastor Bishop Samuel Cornish explains, it wasn't easy.
You have to put your own hurt on the side for other people's rescue and help. Luckily, or I would say if you want to call it luck, we started a church in Nassau a few years before the hurricane. So when everybody left the island, that's where all of our members went. So we had a place where we can call home.
After the hurricane, Cornish says it took him a full year before he could look at the damage Dorian had done to the church. That prior to Dorian could easily seat 500 people and included a cafeteria, preschool, and radio station. Cornish explains rebuilding wasn't in the cards for him.
I didn't care to, and one of the reasons why I did not want to is because of the way that people treated me when the hurricane happened and after. So it devastated me a bit on the inside. And number two, I don't know if I had the strength anymore. When I first built Change Ministry, I was like 28, 29 years old, somewhere around there.
Now, church members meet in a unit in a plaza with a reduced membership of less than 300 people.
The people that were once connected with me are slowly coming back to the house of God.
Construction on the new building began only 3 weeks ago and is expected to cost around $600,000. Members say they're excited and are looking forward to returning home. Longtime member and architect Kermit Curry says the plan is to rebuild better.
My thing is to make sure that there is someone or there's inspections going on to ensure that we follow the building code, to make sure that the building is built sound.
Now, Italia, of course, as church members band together to rebuild what some of them call House of Refuge, they are still working overtime to rebuild their personal lives. Reporting from Murphytown, Abaco, I'm Bethany McDermott. Back to you, Italia.
In Abaco for us and our Jamila Mizik in Grand Bahama. Thanks to you both. Now our coverage of Road to Recovery Dorian 3 years later continues this week nightly on our news. Be sure to stay tuned as we bring you all of the latest developments.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. This has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual funds in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news comes back from the break, new details about plans for the country's 50th independence celebrations. Plus, our Marcellus Hall is coming up in sports with more basketball action. Marcellus?
All right, Italian. Also coming up in sports for tonight, Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun. They are off to a good start in the second round of the WNBA playoffs. We'll also tell you about the men's basketball team as they get ready to take on Argentina, and the UB cross-country squad looking pretty good this past weekend. That's all coming up in sports.
Sounds good, Marcellus. Plus, weather brewing in the tropics. Meteorologist Greg Thompson has the latest when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
This is our news. Welcome back. Plans are underway for the Bahamas' 50th independence anniversary. Chairperson of the Bahamas Independence Day Committee, Leslie Miller Bryce, says the committee has already begun preparing for the golden anniversary, and it's important to get feedback from the Bahamian people.
We want to include all Bahamians. It's not a 50th anniversary celebration that should be decided between 10 persons sitting at a round table. We want Bahamians to tell us, what is it that you want to see? What is it that you want to do? And we just want to ensure that all Bahamians from all walks of life are included, and the events and activities that we do produce, we want to ensure that all demographics are included in that.
Jonquel and the Suns are off to a good start in the second round of the WNBA playoffs. Meanwhile, our men's basketball team will face Argentina tonight. Now, Marcellus Hall joins us live in studio with more on this. Marcellus?
All right, thanks a lot, Natalia, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Jonquel Jones and the Connecticut Sun. They've been doing pretty well through the first round of the playoffs. Last night, looking to get the second round started off with a good note as they faced off against Chicago Sky in a pivotal Game 1. Let's see exactly how that one turned out. Let's take a look. Jonquel Jones, Connecticut Sun, in action as they started their second round series in the WNBA playoffs. Jones and the Sun taking on the Chicago Sky in Game 1. And this one would turn out to be a pretty good one. Connecticut able to outlast this. They go ahead, take Game 1 of the series 68-63. As for Jonquel, taking a look at her stats on the day, she finished up with 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, and a block. In 25 minutes on the floor. Most importantly, like we mentioned, they did take Game 1 of the series there. On to our men's national basketball team. They went through their final practice sessions yesterday ahead of their matchup tonight when they face off against the Argentinian national team. As you know, the Bahamas suffering a loss against Venezuela at home in the first of their windows of opportunities in the World Cup qualifiers. They now look to right the ship this evening, again, as they take on Argentina. We'll give you full details of that situation as it progresses. We have some news coming in from the University of the Bahamas as well. They had a cross-country team that was traveling abroad, and we understand they did pretty well in that regard. Taking a look at how the action went down, the university's cross-country team competed Saturday at the St. Thomas University Cross-Country Invitational in Miami Gardens. And as it was, they did pretty well as Levine Joseph finished 9th in a time of 18 minutes, 4.5 seconds to be the top finisher for the UB squad. In the 5K event, the UB team finished 4th with 93 points. Nova Southeastern won the event with 18. Keenal Jean finished 2nd for UB and 21st overall in 20 minutes, 47.8. Since then, now they've been doing pretty good. UB head coach Edna Roll said he was impressed with the team's performance as it was the first event since the pandemic.
Didn't know what to expect. Small school, great team. So excited to see what we do going forward. We just got to get back, hit the miles, get the team to be in sync so we could get a better overall position.
And there it is. You look at sports here for you on this Monday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Italia.
Thanks so much, Marcellus, but don't go away. Greg is back in the Weather Center where we are now watching the tropics as several systems are developing. What are we seeing, Greg?
Yes, Italia, the tropics getting busy. We're watching 4 systems out there. One in particular that we're going to continue to monitor over the next couple of days. Should get near the Bahamas by the end of the week, early next week. We'll tell you all about that in our extended forecast.
Okay, Greg, we'll have more from you when our news returns.
What we're doing is we seem to be saying to 80% of the student population, you're really not good enough.
The PGCSE is a Bahamian exam. Your average is going to be around that high point, which is the D.
Schools are churning out 5,000 children a year that need jobs.
We're producing generations of Bahamians whose goal is to get out.
Welcome back to our news. 4 systems in the tropics are now being watched. Greg is in the Weather Center watching one system in particular in the central Atlantic.
Yes, Italia, we're watching the tropics. A couple of systems out there, 4 as a matter of fact that we're watching. The first one being up near Bermuda. Not much going on with that. Has a very low chance for formation. That's going to be posing no problems for us here locally. Second one in the Caribbean, a lot of showers and thunderstorms with that system as it continues to push towards the west-northwest. Should approach the Yucatan Peninsula over the course of the next couple of days. That also has a low chance for formation as it moves into that neighborhood. Then the 2 systems out in the open Atlantic, one coming off of Africa later on tonight and into tomorrow, showers and thunderstorms associated with that. That also has a low chance. The second system out there in the open Atlantic is the one that we're going to continue to monitor. That has a very high chance for formation over the next several days. National Hurricane Center giving that about an 80% chance as it pushes towards the west and eventually moves more west-northwest over the next several days. Should get just to the north of the Leeward Islands by the end of the week and approach the southeast Bahamas by early next week. Well, Sunday into Monday time frame. We will continue to monitor the system. The National Hurricane Center, as I mentioned, giving that a very high chance. The Department of Meteorology has issued a weather statement on the uptick in activity across the Atlantic, and we're asking you to continue to monitor all the statements put out by the Department of Meteorology over the next couple of days. Satellite view showing how things are shaping up in those systems. First, as I mentioned, the one up near Bermuda, not much convection associated with that. The other one in the Western Caribbean, lots of showers and thunderstorms affecting Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, should push into the Yucatan Peninsula by the end of the week. And then those 2 systems in the open Atlantic, one strong tropical wave coming off the African coast and a lot of showers and thunderstorms with that. But the system in the center of the Atlantic, that's one we will continue to monitor over the next couple of days as it pushes towards the west-northwest. And as I mentioned, should get to the east of the Bahamas by the end of the weekend and into early next week. Boating forecast for the northwest Bahamas tonight to tomorrow. Your winds will be southeasterly at 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Your high tide will be at 10:07 tonight. For the southeast and central Bahamas, winds are slightly stronger there, east to southeast at 15 knots, seas running 3 to 5 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look at your extended forecast. Off and on showers as residual moisture hangs across us throughout the remainder of the week. And then by the weekend, the system that is out there in the open Atlantic, we will continue to monitor that and keep you abreast of how things progress. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe night, everybody.
Thanks so much for that weather report, Greg, and thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Natalia Hall. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night.